I'm Paul Kimball.
I'm Dillon Garland.
I'm Holly Stevens.
And we're going
Beyond Haunted.
So the Astor Theatre was supposed to be a nice little episode where, Queens County Museum, some really bad stuff went down, and crazy stuff. And we'll just take the night off and wander through this lovely theater. Holly's an actor, Dillon and I directors. We'll really get into it, from our other careers in the film and television industry. And no, it didn't work out quite that way, did it?
Did you actually go in expecting nothing to happen?
Yes, like every prom I ever went to. Yes.
Wow.
Always go in with low expectations.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Beyond Haunted, where we start with fire.
That's right. Gorgon likes fire.
Oh, no.
It's too early for Gorgon. He'll be in later.
Blew it.
Yeah.
Always too early for Grogron.
No, it's all right. See, that's Gorgon unhappy.
Oh, geez. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really sorry. And I'm not talking to you guys. I'm talking to our two listeners that we still have.
And what if we have three, and you've now
Insulted one of them.
I can't,
They wouldn't know.
You've just ticked off 33% of our audience.
That's like taking two people, your friends, and saying like, yeah, I've got two best friends. Well, there are three of them in the room.
That's not what I said at all.
Now they're going to fight amongst each other.
No, I just assumed that we didn't have very many viewers after listening to Paul go through his third person, like, what level of demon are you, Gorgon?
I have no idea what you're talking
what
about.
I thought.
That was Gorgon.
Oh,
that's
God.
not me.
So
Anyway.
the Astor Theatre.
Yeah, right?
So what did you folks out there think about it? Hashtag, I don't know what we would hashtag it. Oh, hashtag
Astor Theatre.
ambush Paul in the bathroom.
What?
That's what we'll hashtag it as. Because I got bathroom ambushed at the end.
I was like, we'll just do this again, Paul. You can come out of a different area.
Well, then that would be us staging something. And the whole thing was
Granted.
the bathroom. I mean, the only place I could have come out of was the bathroom because that's underneath
Yes.
where the noises were being heard.
You are correct. It was important that you were in that location. However, I don't think the entire audience needed to know which stall you were in, the length of time that you spent there.
Science. No, that was science.
Well, to further talk about that too, Paul wasn't the only one under the influence of not paranormal possession, but definitely possession of some sorts.
Sure, McDonald's. I mean, let's
You're
just...
going to say it. I was going to say it.
I was hoping you would tell us.
Now,
You want to know details?
I love
No.
I love McDonald's. So this is not ragging on the chain.
McDonald's.
However, we went to the McDonald's in Liverpool, which is a quality McDonald's. I've been there many times, but this one time,
Yeah.
we all, well, at least Dillon and I kind of, yeah. I wasn't the only one acquainted with the washroom over that period of time.
Period of time. I don't know what your experiences were. Because,
And we never will.
well, me and Paul haven't really talked in depth about this. Thank God.
No. But here it comes.
4 days, I was just losing weight left and right. That was a bad experience. Yeah.
From that one incident.
Yeah, and we tried to figure it out because three of us had McDonald's that night, but one of us didn't, which I believe it was me, you, and Chelsea, and then Jim was the defector. I didn't eat there.
I
Jim
didn't
never
eat
got
there.
sick. Me, Paul, and Chelsea got very sick. For
Is that
4 days.
when like Jim and Kim and I went to the Tim Hortons and you guys went to McDonald's?
I believe so.
Oh,
Probably.
snap.
Yeah. So
There's your background explanation of that scene.
Anyway, so
we were legitimately, that wasn't faking it. I had legitimately been in the bathroom for about 15 minutes, not, throwing up or anything, but just
it's
stomach
great,
up.
Paul. We got it.
No, the audience needs to know.
No, they don't. They got it.
I'm a professional. If I'm going to say that I was in the bathroom for 15 minutes, I wasn't lollygagging and playing Forge of Empires on my iPad, trying to stay away. Oh, here's the one place Holly won't be able to find me, the male washroom. Forge of Empires time. Gorgon. No, it was like, and then I walked out and there you guys are and folks saw what happened. Boom, stuff happened.
It was interesting because I remember when I came out, I was trying to figure out where I was hearing the noises from, that kind of like creaky, not those noises,
Look,
Dillon.
I will interrupt because I know.
I heard nothing from the washroom. I had no idea he was there.
Here's the thing. Because some people would probably look at this and say, well, okay, Paul, whatever you heard was probably just your stomach noises or whatever.
Why would anyone think that?
Because there's a lot of people out there. First of all, I might actually think that if I didn't know better. Truth is, my stomach wasn't making noises. It was just upset. So it wasn't gurgling or anything. So no, I didn't hear my own stomach. But skeptics or debunkers would look and say, well, if you're sitting there and you're not feeling well and you hear something, sure, maybe that's what you thought you heard.
Really?
I'm just ruling that one out.
Okay, well,
I'm
okay,
letting
yes,
folks know.
we can rule that out. I would
All on
also
the table.
hope that our audience would understand that they know the difference between hearing the sounds of something walking above you and your stomach.
You would hope, but as I make clear in the next episode or the next location, Cooper's Inn, I'm just a penny ante ghost hunter. That's an actual quote from the episode. So, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm winging it.
Okay, yes, so, no, not your stomach,
No.
check.
No.
So you heard something above you, and
Right.
I heard something from the other room, not from the bathroom. And I was actually just about to go up to that area because I thought that is where those sounds came from.
Yep.
Correct.
And then you had actually already heard it above you for 15 minutes?
No, not for 15 minutes, but, like for a minute or two for a particular period of time. And it happened more than once. As I recall now, I have to look at the footage. I think it was twice, but that was 5 months ago. So I can't
Yeah.
recall exactly without looking at the footage. But in the show, I think I say twice, but it wasn't for the full 15 or 20 minutes that I was in there. And I mean, I don't know. I say I was in there for 15 minutes. It could have been 13, could have been 18. It was in that range.
Range
So
of
it was
time.
about a minute or two off and on. So you'd hear them off and on. It wasn't like somebody was walking up there the entire time.
Yeah, what I find interesting, though, is that it was so definitive for you that you actually thought one of us was upstairs.
Right. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And so when Dillon and Chelsea come in with me, and for folks who are wondering why Chelsea isn't here this week on Beyond Haunted, she's in Atlanta, Georgia, attending Walker Stalker Con. Is that what they call it? Walker Stalker Con?
Yeah, Chelsea is a very big Walking Dead fan. She wasn't a year ago, but she dove into a big old pool head first without looking. No, she's a really big fan, and now she's in Atlanta, basically meeting her favorites from the show. One of them being Melissa McBride, and I believe she's meeting her 7 times.
Officially, 7 times.
Yeah.
At the hotel bar, maybe.
Who knows? And I don't know. When Chelsea left to get in the plane, there may have been a ring in her pocket. I don't know her full plans.
Yes, I would believe that.
I'm surprised she's not a bigger fan of Carl. And yet she didn't.
Well.
She doesn't seem to be a big fan of. Anyway, moving on.
I'm behind on seasons, so
Oh.
no spoilers.
And I stopped watching a year ago. So there we go.
There you go.
Dylan's in the middle somewhere. So Chelsea's not here this week, and Jim's just lazy. He never wants to do these things. So
Did we ask?
no,
Okay, cool. No,
we didn't ask.
Jim.
I was curious.
Hashtag more Jim.
There you go.
Fine. That one works. We can use that one. So yeah, there you are in the bathroom. You hear something coming upstairs. You thought you heard something else, and that's just kind of how it happened. And then it leads us upstairs. But yeah, no, it sounded like somebody was really walking up there. I mean, it wasn't just kind of like it was like when we went into the bathroom to recreate it, and you were upstairs. What folks hear, which are your footsteps, that's what I heard. Minus, as I note in the episode, the squeaks. So I didn't hear the squeaks, which that floor did squeak in certain
Just
places.
the footsteps.
Just the footsteps.
You know what that tells me?
They were walking on a part of the floor that didn't squeak.
No.
Because not all the
Oh.
floor squeaked.
But it was from the same location as my footsteps.
Generally, I mean, yeah, it's a big ceiling, so I can't pinpoint with super accuracy. It was that spot right there. It was upstairs above me, and it's there's a hallway, and parts of that floor squeaked. Especially this, I do remember from editing it. I could see it at the top of the stairs. It definitely squeaked, squeak, and it squeaked as you were walking into that room. But once you were in the room, it didn't really squeak so much. So it was on the landing and the top of the stairs leading into that room. So I could say, well, okay, maybe what I was hearing then was coming from slightly different place, like, just next to where the squeak place was, or maybe ghosts don't squeak. That's possible.
I was thinking that maybe you were hearing the residual footsteps from somebody in the building from like 100 years ago before the floorboards were actually squeaking.
Ooh,
Hashtag time travel.
that's interesting.
Yeah, so that was one of the things I was thinking about.
And I mean, there has been, and we note this in the episode, there's been a history of that staircase with, people seeing a woman in white walking up and down.
Yeah.
So that, it kind of matches with the history of that.
And
Place.
Julie told us, and we say this in the episode as well, that she would hear footsteps outside her door, which is the location that you said that you heard the footsteps.
Right.
So-
And yeah. And you had heard a sound, trying to remember the timeline now, earlier in the night. It's early in the episode. Yeah, so earlier in the night, something up on the balcony, which you then went up to investigate.
That's later. It's in the second part.
Is it?
Yeah.
See, I've been
Yeah,
I've been working on both episodes at the same time, so
But
sometimes I
yes.
get time compressed. Is that? Yeah, no, that isn't the second
Because
episode. Right.
the next time on Haunted, we hear the noises upstairs off the balcony.
Right, because I was confusing the second part of episode 2 with the second part of episode 1, which was when
Spoiler,
we're on
we hear more voices.
Right, which is when we're on the stage and I sick the whatever it is on Demon, sorry,
Oh.
on Dillon,
So, okay.
and he quit for all of 5 seconds and then he came back. It
You just...
was a Freudian slip. That was honestly, legitimately, I just totally slipped. It's in my head now,
I
demons,
stuck it on demon.
because
You just called Dillon Demon.
I did.
Faux pod, yo.
No. Okay. Can we just admit that UFO Pod Yo is both simultaneously the funniest thing that's said in the entire show and the dumbest thing too at the same time? Or at least cool.
Holly's got some good zingers each episode.
Bam.
Yes. That spice was nice.
Don't do
One
that
of my
Bam.
One of my favorite lines is from the second episode of Queens when you're debunking the shelving unit, and she goes, "Oh, it opens on its own. Oh, that's epic creepy.
Yeah, I know. It's true.
Epic coming to a T-shirt.
Hashtag epic creepy.
Okay.
You know who's epic creepy?
Demons?
Can I say it? I think I know where you're going with this. 'Cause
You guys almost touched fingers like E E.T.
E.T. I'm
Wonder
going
Twins.
home.
Here we go. So do you know who's epic creepy, Dillon?
Yes, Miss Gorham.
Gorgon.
Ah, man.
I was close with the G.
You had the G right. yes.
My top note, and I thought this was very interesting because I'm watching these episodes fresh. I shot everything, but I'm not seeing how Hall edited it. I get to see all that stuff. My first note was the Gorham painting, ... terrifying, ! And you used very nice piano music underneath showing the most terrifying painting I have ever seen in my life. I thought it was an interesting choice.
She's a charmer. Mrs. Gorham.
You-
Yeah.
Maybe in the Queen's photo, not so much the Astor photo.
No, in the Astor photo, she's thoroughly frightening. And so wait, okay. That's episode 2, though.
What you're about to say?
Yes.
You mean second half of
Second
Astor.
half. It's
So
the second
episode
half
4.
of the Astor. Because
Sorry to confuse everyone.
no, because what happens is we walk into that room at the
Yeah.
end, and I may or may not be having a heart attack. It's that chest feeling,
Yeah.
and then that we carry on for the first 5 or 6 minutes, and things are revealed in that room afterwards. So it's a bit of a cliffhanger.
That room, man, when I went in I was like, oh crap, I've got to walk around up here so that they can do their test below. But this room, like, I was expecting something to happen.
It's weird because we it didn't feel like that before because we had
No.
gone in it, and doesn't spoil episode 2, but or part 2. I'd been up there. The only room that really messed me up was the room with the Miss Gorham paintings, because this is like a 15-foot tall painting of, she looks like one of the Skeksis from
What?
from the Dark Crystal.
Oh,
Yeah,
Okay.
not to
I
be
forgot
mean.
what they were called.
Yeah.
All I can remember is Gelfling.
Yes, well, good thing to remember.
Gelfling.
I had been up there. Kim had been up there. Chelsea had been up there. You had been up there. Paul had been up there. We didn't feel anything in that room because we called it the barrel room because there's 2 wooden barrels and stuff in the middle of it.
Ghost barrel.
There you go. But walking into that room, even following you, I felt Paul's a portal guy. And you'll see as we go along with the show,
Thanks.
Paul is a portal guy.
Thanks, Demon Dillon.
No problem, portal man.
Dear.
But when I'm following Paul into the room, I swear to God, it's like the door frame is this invisible wall going into some place that is not present. It was the weirdest feeling.
Wait, were you walking from Ghost Barrel Room into Mrs. Gorham's
No,
painting room?
No, into Ghost.
The end of this episode, when Holly says, "Go walk in that room," how do
and
you
you
feel?
follow me in with the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when you describe what you were feeling, I felt that not outside, not halfway in.
Right.
The second my body went into that room, I felt wrong on every level. And it was bizarre.
Yeah, it was a very heavy feeling. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, oppressive was the right word that Paul used.
Yes.
Like
It's terrifying.
It was.
I had never felt like that before. Even in Queens, I didn't feel like that. I felt
I just had to see if someone else felt it. That's why I was like, okay, guys.
At least you warned us this time that's what you were doing. So
I just said walk into that. Well, I can't.
She
I
did.
want to give it away. Be like, hey guys, this room is oppressive. Go in and
smart.
see if you feel that it's oppressive.
no, that's good. But you warned us. Hashtag stay tuned for Yarmouth Jail episode. That like you brought us up and said, just
It's
go
not a
into.
hashtag.
It is. It's a hashtag now. Just go into this room. I mean, I figured you weren't sending me into this room because there was a barrel of jelly beans waiting for me in there or something.
You never know, though.
Or Rockets candies. I figured, there's something going on in here, but I had no idea, what was going on. So it could have been anything. Kim could have been waiting around the corner of the door to go boo, and maybe it was a joke. You never know. So as soon as I walked through the door, and it happened on both doors, so you see, this is hashtag spoiler. In the next episode, there's another door that leads out of that room into the Mrs. Gorham painting room, we'll call it. Yep. And in either one of those two doors, legitimately, it is like you walk through, I guess a portal, but sort of, Stargate. When they would go through the Stargate, and hey, we're on one side, and then they go, and they'd be stuck in that. They'd go through the goop. It felt like you were going through that goop
really
or
did.
whatever.
Yeah,
it was the liquid stuff or whatever they'd walk through.
And you felt like you were almost entering this different gravitational pull.
It's a different space altogether.
It just felt like I was 50 pounds heavier.
And to note is, if I remember correctly, there was no temperature difference between the rooms. It's not like this room was hotter and that led
no
to...
overall temperature, but I won't get into that until next week.
No, but that we don't want to ruin that. But there was a temperature drop. It happened at the other door, so...
It was colder in there?
Yeah, it didn't go up, which it again
that's what you would expect.
Should have, because it's at the top floor, and it was a warm, stuffy evening in there. So if there's any cold, and you'll see it in the second part where there's cold stuff going on. Actually, you see in the first part,
you do,
when we're on the stage, and I sick something on Demon
Did you just
Dillon Garland?
I just did it again.
Hashtag.
What's your middle name? I'm just going to go with your... No, I sick something on Dillon.
Lucifer? I don't know.
Lucifer. And then took it back.
Lucy.
Dillon and I both felt cold for a brief, moment. And then when I took it back, Dillon felt nothing. But then I continued to feel cold. And Holly, you can see on the screen, the temperature was going down.
You. Yeah.
Yeah, that... I mean, yeah.
You're going to say that hurt? Is that what you were going to say?
No, it didn't hurt at all. It's just like... Nobody should have any sympathy for what happens to Holly for the rest of the series.
Excuse me.
Ouch.
That is not true. If you're going to stand there and antagonize spirits and then throw them at crew member.
Oh, isn't this funny? Isn't it funny that she's saying this?
What do you mean?
Know what it is? This is our Alanis Morissette moment, because isn't it ironic? Don't you think? Yes.
Explain.
I really do think. Well, it's ironic.
I don't know if we should get into that today, because we'll be wasting 5 hours here. And I don't know if it comes off, because you do hear me talking, but I wasn't mic'd, so you only hear my kind of off.
Yes, you're boom mic.
When Paul says, bring it on to Dillon, I feel just a brush of cold. Like this, somebody put a fan behind me and it was blowing. You felt it too.
Right.
So just the specifics of what I was feeling, it was if somebody was rushing by me and... Ugh. Cold was sticking with me. And the weirdest thing was when you called it off, it was like it stopped immediately, like you turned off the fan.
Right, and it came back to me. Yeah. So by the power of Grayskull, apparently I have the power to summon, I'm like Thor, I have this power to summon the elements. Or
I don't like it.
Well, I won't use it again. That was a one-time only thing.
Lies.
What did Uncle Ben say?
With great power comes great responsibility.
Exactly.
Did I ever use it on you again? No.
Not that I know of.
Yeah, well, exactly.
I think you should. Here's my... No, I know.
Yes. See?
No,
yes,
this is... Because me and Holly have been having this conversation a lot, and I said for season 2...
Did you just say join me? Oh,
like
man,
the Emperor.
it's Darth Holly Patine.
Do it. I'm
pretty sure that's not
how he
phrased it.
Did you say poutine?
No, Holly Patine.
Okay.
Although, if you go downtown, maybe you can find a Holly Poutine. I don't know. They might they might have a special.
For season 2, I was thinking, and for season 1, and probably for season 2, I'll feel the same way. But I'm gonna blast through that barrier. I think you should use whatever you feel like you have. I told Holly this. I said, if something happens, I think send me alone.
He He's becoming a true ghost hunter.
I'm losing my mind is what I'm doing.
Jeebus, Holly. He's actually like literally lying down in front of us and begging us to drive the tractor over him.
Well, it's this weird thing because even this episode,
Ghost tractor.
I'm in this episode more than I thought it was going to be because I don't even remember talking about most stuff. But you got the sound coming through through my headphones. You've got
Oh, right. Yeah, maybe you could, because that's a very small segment.
I do want to
Sure.
ask you about that.
So maybe you could expand on that for the people, because
Sure.
it's a brief part of the episode. But
Yeah. So the audio thing, the way I have my Blackmagic hooked up is that the Blackmagic's audio is garbage on the actual camera, itself.
Yeah.
So to make Paul's job easier, as well as to have a backup for audio, is I have another recorder that hooks right into the camera itself. So I'm recording different audio with what's called a shotgun mic into the camera. And that's a whole different setup from what Chelsea's doing, because Chelsea has her whole audio kit kind of separate. I put a headphone in one of my ears, clicked it on, everything was cool. I was getting a couple of clicks. My normal, as I say in the episode, I get interference from the walkie-talkies, but I know what they sound like because it's clicked or a little bit of static. And we've done a lot of locations. I know what these sound like. The sound that I heard was this, and it just kept getting deeper and more guttural. And what I don't think you see in the episode, or maybe I did say this, I can't remember. I ripped them out of my ears so fast because it terrified me. Because actually, you want to talk about Queens? You know how Queens, it felt like it was in your face? This felt like it was hanging over my shoulder and doing this into my ear. And it was just, I immediately got cold chills. I hauled it out of my ear because it spooked the hell out of me. And then I just couldn't explain it, as I say in the episode. I thought it was a car. I thought it was a truck. And I say that it's a one-way street next to us, and that's true. Yes, somebody could have broken the law. However, as I also say in the episode, another car went by, and I recorded that, and I listened to it, and it wasn't even relatively close to what I heard. I don't know what the hell it was. Worst thing is, and the weirdest thing, whatever I hear through that, I should be recording on the video. So when we play back the video, you should hear it.
Wasn't there?
Nope.
That's what I wanted to ask you about. I mean, if you're hearing something through the camera audio, wouldn't it also pick up like on any of the other audio recorders in the room at the time? Like just
Yes.
theoretically,
In theory,
if you're hearing a sound outside, like a car,
yeah.
it should pick up, right?
In theory, and again, there's technology's weird, so there
Yeah.
could be many different answers to this. In theory, because all of us are mic'd, or and the cast is mic'd, Chelsea should be hearing that.
Through the boom or through our mics?
I'm thinking more through the mics because they're wireless, so there's a better chance of interference
Okay.
there. She may hear it through the boom, I don't know. But she didn't hear anything.
And I know
She was right next to me.
the boom is directional, so I guess possibly it would be pointed in a different direction, maybe.
Maybe, but my mic is also directional.
Right.
And we were aiming
You were the same
at
direction.
you guys. Yeah.
And on top of that, I mean, we also have the ADR recorders going, which kind of pick up everything. And there was nothing on those.
Nope.
So, yeah, that's really cool.
It was just in my ear.
Sorry. I mean, that sucks.
No, it's
but
cool.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's cool, but it's terrifying. In the moment, I can remove myself months down the road after an experience and say, okay, actually, that was kind of cool. The frightening thing is that, like the Queens County voice, I don't have a theory on this one. I don't know what this is.
And it didn't record.
No, that was the weirdest thing. I should have. Because we have, in a future episode, we have an audio anomaly happen at a place called Cooper's Inn. That recorded.
Yeah.
You know what the weird thing about that is, though? Is that recorded, but we didn't hear it when it happened. So this is the exact opposite of that. I heard it when it was happening, but it didn't record. It's bizarre.
That's very strange.
Yeah.
Which audio anomaly are we talking about at Cooper's?
The static.
Oh, that, right. Because,
Yeah.
yes, I just finished editing that. That was genuinely...
It was weird.
Still can't explain that one, folks. So I wasn't even talking about that audio anomaly. I was talking about when you and Chelsea were on the top of the stairs and the wind whistled by your ear.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Which is actually... Because you do kind of explain the car one's good that you explained it again. Yay. But the other one gets really short shrift. I mean,
Sure.
it's like in for 10 seconds. So perhaps you could elaborate on what that was all about.
Yeah, well, I was following around Holly and Julie, who was giving us kind of the tour and letting us know some history about, paranormal experiences they've had there. And as I'm at the top of the stairs, I'm following then, and it just sounds like a rush of kind of wind. Like, you know how you hear a mic, like like you hear that. That's what it sounded like, but a little bit more higher pitched, as if it was just passing by me. And it genuinely scared me. And I looked around. Like, if you look at the footage, there's a bump in the footage because I was distracted. I was looking somewhere else. I wasn't following Holly or Julie. I was like, what was that? And then it's another one of those things. I heard it. It wasn't recorded. And it was just wind. Like, it sounded like there was no wind up there. Chelsea didn't hear anything. She was right behind me with the same mic.
Yeah, I was going to ask, did Chelsea hear anything? But no. Yeah.
She actually looked at me like I had two heads because I was looking around like, what was that? I couldn't say anything because we were filming, but that one was weird because it had two parts to it. And usually, I'm not saying all the time, we tend to get one or the other, I find. It's audible or it's physical. Sometimes maybe we get both, but off the top of my head, I can't think of one right off the bat right now. There probably is, I just can't think of one. This was one of those instances where I heard it and I felt it, but nothing recorded.
Ugh, gross.
Yeah, it was weird. So that's the second time in this episode where it feels like something's hanging over my shoulder, which I don't like.
Was this before or after Paul decided to sick?
Oh, this was before.
Oh, okay, fair
This
enough.
was when you were doing the tour, like at the very beginning.
Yeah, this is, yeah. Oh, it was. But yeah, it's funny because I didn't feel oppressive by any means, like we did later on. Didn't feel right, but I didn't feel like I was in danger. It just felt weird.
So, like, something was curious?
Yeah. I think so. That's probably that's probably a good word to use. Something had curiosity. It's like a cat rubbing up against your leg.
Wow.
Yeah. I think.
You might not know cats very well then, because I'm not convinced that that's curiosity. It's just like, dinner.
What?
That's, yeah.
I think it's more like, feed me.
I just don't know what it could be because it's literally this corner of the place. There's no windows up there. There's no drafts coming in. And I actually, what doesn't make the air, because you weren't there, and I can't shoot myself with that thing. I actually went up there for a good 10 minutes on one of our breaks. And I just stood there and I was like, okay, what could I have hit? There was a painting behind me, but I was 2 feet away from the wall. I couldn't have even hit that. I was just moving stuff around and I could not replicate that.
The interesting thing is sometimes, actually, oftentimes, stuff will happen when the cameras aren't rolling.
Oh, yeah.
So, in the Queens County Museum episode, the second part of that, you'll see an entire segment of about 4 or 5 minutes, which isn't great television, actually, of Holly and I just sitting there. It's the black and white, it's the CCTV camera. And the only reason we have any of that, it's when I sat down in the cold chair, that whatever, and, we didn't really think we were on camera. That audio is not our good audio. It's being recorded on a digital audio recorder that just happened to be running on the table in front of us.
Yeah.
That we had left there some time before, so we weren't thinking about that. And the camera was a CCTV camera, which just happened to be constantly pointing into that room. And so it kind of picked us up, but it wasn't planned that way. And in fact, at one point, you hear me say to Holly, hey, why does this never happen when there's a camera crew around? And then we say, oh, of course, we got this other one. So almost every location, something like that happens. And at the Astor Theatre, for me, the one that I can remember in particular was just before you start telling your story about the car sound. I'm just, you know what I mean, just so folks know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't a car, but that sound. We had something happening with the REM pod that was not caught on camera and was not caught on any audio. We didn't have the digital audio recorders running yet. Chelsea hadn't turned the audio on, and we weren't filming it.
No.
It's a shame, because we do have us, and I didn't use it in the episode, the Astor episode, because I decided without context, without seeing it, it's just us talking about it, and that wasn't particularly interesting. There were more interesting things that I had video for. But in this one, Dillon labeled it in the video footage, because he puts a label on everything, every clip. REM pod sings a song. And so we turned the REM pod on. Now, Holly and I, 8 years ago or whatever, this is what it sounded like to me. And I actually said this at the time. We traveled through Scotland. I lived in Scotland for a year. Holly loves Scotland. She and I traveled there together after ghost cases. We love Scotland. To me, it sounded like bagpipes, only the REM pod not actual bagpipes, but playing like a bagpipe Scottish tune.
Yeah.
And I think we had been talking earlier about, at least briefly, the trip to Scotland or something to do with Scotland. I can't guarantee that. But it was really weird. We turned the REM pod on and it started singing / doing a bagpipe tune, only in its unique, weird little... It was playing a song.
Yep.
And we don't have that on any audio, which is a real shame because that would have been one of those WTF moments where the audience would have gone, how did they set that one up? Like, how did they fake that? We didn't, folks. But
No.
So the thing with the with the whoosh coming by and stuff, that happens a lot more than you would think. So what folks are seeing in the show in almost every episode is, in some cases, the really good stuff. Like this is I only have an hour spreading it out over 2 episodes to tell the story. So there's more things that happen. In some cases, it's because, this is better. Like Holly getting that is a better piece of evidence, a more interesting piece of television, ghosty, whatever, than maybe something else that was still cool, but that's better. Fine. Or we just didn't record it. And at some point, you just don't want to spend your entire series being like, that's what Beyond Haunted is for. We can talk about it. But on television, to see us standing there talking about it. But just so folks know, that happened just before, maybe 5 minutes before Dillon heard this other sound.
Yep.
So there were a series of audio anomalies that were taking place. Dillon's was not out, putting it in its proper context, was not sort of an outlier. It was something that was happening as other things were happening at that time.
Yeah. It was bizarre because we immediately, I remember me and Holly looked at each other like, what was that? It sounded like bagpipes. It sounded exactly like bagpipes. And the weirdest thing about it was the REM pod's only supposed to have like, what, 1 beep?
So when you turn the REM pod on, I mean, it has 4 tones that it goes through for each of the 4 lights. And when you turn it on, it goes through each of the lights and then it makes a beep, beep. That's all it does.
But it's not, is it supposed to change pitch? Or is it supposed to stick with one?
I've never heard it play a song before.
Me neither.
So, I mean, it's possible with those 4 tones that it has for each light that's what was going on. But again, it shouldn't do that.
Because it sounded, and most of the time when we hear the REM pod go off, it almost sounds like a couple of different beeps happening at once.
Beep,
I should have worded that
yeah.
better. What I meant was that it has kind of a consistent rising tone. It doesn't go like, almost like autotune. You know what autotune sounds like? It sounded like autotune in this. It sounded like this digital song that was being played.
Oh, it was complex.
And the weirdest thing is that it kept tempo with itself.
Right.
That's what I found bizarre. It was singing a song, and then when you listen to a song and you're playing, it was keeping in time with itself.
Yeah. It was very bizarre. I mean, unless the people who make the REM pod are going to come back and tell us, hey, joke on you. We actually have it. So every once in a while when you turn it on, it makes a song.
Cool.
Funny.
I'd love to know that.
Yeah,
honestly.
no,
Yeah.
but it was legit. Like it made a couple tones and I'm like, oh, there, we just turned it on. And then it kept going.
Right.
And we all just stared at it.
It came on the way it was supposed to.
Yes.
Bloop, bloop, and then it should not do anything unless you interact with it. We weren't really interacting with it. And it played a song. And so when we get to episode 5 at Cooper's Inn, you'll see a moment where we're talking about another piece of our equipment malfunctioning, or at least that's what it seems like. And we get a whole bunch of static on something.
It was the mic that's set up to my
Right.
camera.
The shotgun mic. Yeah. So, and at one point, Dillon, as we're listening to the static, I mean, static is what static is. It's like the REM pod. It's supposed to behave in a certain way. The static had, as Dillon described it, character. Like it was modulating pitch. It was moving up and down in this, you need to watch the Cooper's Inn episode. In 20 years, I've run a recording studio, been a musician, been a filmmaker. I've never heard static do something like that. Now, I'm not saying static can't do something like that.
Sure.
I'm just saying I've heard a lot of static and I've never heard it do that. And I've talked to a couple of audio engineer chums of mine since then, and they just shrugged and went, I don't know, that I've never heard that either. So when you get something like that, or like the REM pod at Astor that was singing a song, which we can't play for you, unfortunately.
I wish we could.
I'm convinced that if there is something out there, sometimes it does things that are really cool. It's kind of like Saul on the road to Damascus. He's the only one who actually saw Jesus. You kind of got to take his word for it. be so much easier if Jesus, with the biblical account, had showed up to Saul, and Saul had like 50 friends with him, or he was in the middle of a shopping market and it's like, "Hey, who's this guy? I'm Jesus. How's it going?" Nope. All alone on a road, and whatever happened to Saul turned him into Paul, and he founded the Christian religion, and boom, the world changes. But sometimes you just have to take it on faith, and folks on the REMPod front are going to have to take it on faith with us that we're telling you what actually happened.
It's funny you say that, because what you just said have a sort of rogue elements, if you will. And I realized something in this episode, and it kind of follows through with a couple of other episodes, but I won't get into that in this one. I wrote down, Ghost Rogue tends to affect others. You ever notice that? Is that when you tend to go Ghost Rogue, it never really comes down to you first. It's usually others around you that start experiencing weird stuff. And then, because I always see the look, you have a look about you when you realize,
oh, yeah.
Whoops.
And then it always goes into, okay, guys, so I need to tell you something.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go that far. I think a lot of times when I go Ghost Rogue and something weird happens, it does come to me first. So sometimes it doesn't. I'll grant you that.
Sure.
But it's not like every time. In fact, I'd have to really turn, it's like think back to ghost cases or think to haunted. When has it happened to me? And then when does it sort of run away and happen to somebody else? I don't know. Maybe it's 50-50. I can't sort of quantify it. But yeah, no, there's definitely been times, because sometimes I'll do it alone. Good example. When I'm in the basement at either the Yarmouth Jail or Ottawa House, Ottawa House is in season 2. Yarmouth Jail is in a few episodes from now. I'm alone and I'm doing my shtick. In fact, in the Yarmouth Jail is a good example. Folks will see me recreate a torture scene where, because that's it's well, not torture, but the basements where they would rough up criminals. They'd take the police
things I don't know.
Right. So they would take people down, and the rumor was that they would rough them up back in the 20s and the teens. And so, I went down and I set a camera, a little GoPro on the chair, and, then I did my thing where I kind of pretend, I went Ghost Rogue, literally. And that the temperature, anything that happened in that basement immediately happened to me. The temperature started going down and that sort of thing. And then I called folks down. But, it hit me there. Other times, like when we're on the stage at the Astor, I don't know. It's interesting, right? Because I went Ghost Rogue and I called out Mrs. Gorham for not having kids and being a colonialist oppressor and everything. Cool. Nothing happened. And then but it was almost like I was storing it up. And she was like, all right, now I'm going to hit. Oh, he just told me to go hit this guy over here. Okay, cool. Fine. I'll go hit him. I didn't like this Dillon cat anyway. And then I took it off. But then you get to the question, do I really have that kind of power? And I think the answer is no.
Well, I would have to say, and I said this to Dillon earlier, if you have the power to call something down and open that door, you have the power to send it back.
Now, my question for you, Paul, is you had asked Holly early on in the episode if she had, null and voided a certain contract
right
that was up there. Do you think the paranormal working contracts? Or
funny thing, offer and acceptance. So she possessed and something could have accepted. That's a contract in law. And the consideration I guess would have been my soul. I don't know. But the interesting thing for anybody who ever played Dungeons and Dragons is there are 3 types of evil. There's neutral evil, which is kind of crazy evil. There's chaotic evil, which is even crazier evil. And then there's lawful evil, which is generally speaking, if you were to look at demons or devils or stuff like that in sort of mythology or Christian lore, whatever, the whole idea of Satan signing a contract. So, which is rooted in not exactly theological Christian history, but pop culture devilly. And so Johnny Blaze, Ghost Rider, now, signs a contract, I get your soul and you get something in return for that. So yeah, the idea that sure, there could be offer, acceptance, consideration, and a contract. So I was joking, of course.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
But there is an underlying thing in there that says, look, did you take that contract back or did you void it? It's like, and then I love Holly's response. No, I didn't really do that. No.
Do you think things are playing with us because, Holly, you didn't offer anything in return? Because if we're working with contracts are usually a give and take scenario, right? Where I'm signing a contract where the person who did up the contract receives something from me, and in return they give something to me.
Not at Winterlight Productions, but sure, moving on.
Well, it's just interesting because technically speaking, you didn't necessarily offer anything up to the space.
Are
in
you
the Gorm.
disappointed?
I'm not disappointed. No,
That
I'm
we
not
know
disappointed.
of.
Yeah, well, no, because we
I-
have the footage. You know what I mean?
Well, who knows what she's thinking?
That's a good point.
What?
I'm just curious if you didn't really specify.
Well, I thought the benefit for the spirit would be the joy of inhabiting Paul's body for a small period of time. I assume that if something's interested in interacting with us in a malevolent way, that it's interested in that connection and that experience as much as we are.
So if it did not receive the joy it had been promised through
I
possessing
didn't promise
Paul,
joy. I did not
but
promise
that was
joy.
that's what I'm saying. If we're going off the contract theory, you were offering the possession of Paul.
The contract was,
I feel so dirty.
and
so
actually, it was
used here.
specific to Mrs. Gorham.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah, it was that if something wanted to communicate with us, possess Paul for a short period of time,
It wasn't
without
specific to Mrs. Gorham.
without harming.
You never mentioned Mrs. Gorham's name. You simply said something.
I probably said both.
Oh, cool. Now we have two separate contracts.
I
like
know,
that.
exactly. And I've seen the footage. You actually only said some things. Unless you said it when you weren't filming, then maybe that's possible. Let's not.
It's hard to remember,
I'm
Paul.
just-
It was a long time ago now.
I think my curiosity comes from because we have been theorizing nonstop about whatever it is we've experienced. What if whatever we experience moving forward here?
Mm-hmm.
What if we're just building up a team that we don't know of because we're offering something that these things are not getting in return in the full way? Because I would argue later on, there's a couple of episodes where things get really consistently weird.
See, I think that if something expects something in return, it should tell us, and then we can say no.
Well, maybe it did tell us what it wanted.
Well,
it
I
did
said
say
no.
your name
I said no.
a couple of times.
Wait, you think it wants me?
I want Holly. I am Gorgron.
It said Holly, and then when in a future episode there may be another mention of your name to a question that Paul asks.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's right. Gorgon likes Holly.
Okay, that's creepy.
Well, of course, because he's Gorgon. He just pops into the show. Is it any creepier to hear Gorgon likes Holly as who's your favorite team member? Paul, Dillon, Chelsea, Jim, or Holly? Holly. I'd have to argue actually Gorgon is the lesser of two evils there because when Ghostbox speaks, people listen. Unless they live in Clayton Park West, in which case nobody listened and I didn't win. Ghostbox did endorse me in my political campaign, though.
I guess where I was leading with that was, do you think what we were dealing with tonight, I'd say tonight as if in the episode, was Ms. Gorham or something?
I do think that it's possible that whatever we interacted with at Queen's was also at the Astor.
Me too.
Because, spoiler, in the second half, we hear something. Unfortunately, I don't think we were able to put it out so that people could hear it because it was so quiet on the actual recorder. But we do hear another voice.
Actually, I think we cleaned that up.
Sounded familiar.
You'd be surprised what I can do with post audio.
Well, there you go, guys.
So you will hear it. It'll be a little, kind of, but it'll
it's
definitely
very,
show
very
that it's
quiet.
there.
But multiple people heard that voice, and it sounded familiar to me.
Funny question. Which voice? Because you're talking
two.
about on the balcony, there's two different instances.
The second one.
Right. Which was a lot softer. That one was a little harder to tease out, but I eventually, no, you know what? You're right. That one we couldn't get.
Yeah.
We got the one that you hear. We heard there's three voices in episode 2. Two of them we got. One of them, even though we were sitting there, we didn't get, and two of us didn't hear it. I didn't hear it, and because I was talking, so all I could hear was myself. Chelsea, I think, didn't hear it. She had her headphones on, so she was hearing me talking, but it was soft. You three, meaning
think
Kim, Dillon, and Holly. Heard
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So that's one of those things too. We won't be able to replicate it for folks because it's just not on the ADRs. It was one of those things that you hear at the time. There were two others though that we clearly heard on the ADR that we could bump up, and you'll be able to hear that in the show. So that's kind of how it goes. When you ask about I don't think it was Mrs. Gorham. It's fun to joke about Mrs. Gorham, and her painting was really creepy. I mean, it's just creepy painting. But I'm not a big believer in the spirits of the dead theory that we're dealing with dead people, Mrs. Gorm or whatever. I'm more of a believer if you're going to have something that we're dealing with not Mrs. Gorm, but a demon or not advanced non-human intelligence or whatever you want to call it, a trickster, any of that stuff, and it portrays itself as different people at different times in different ways. That is because the evidence, and I use evidence in quotation marks, air quotation marks. The evidence to me, the experiences, I'll say, points more in that direction than it does in the other direction. Especially, one of the things I like about Haunted, and we've talked about this before, I think, is the idea that no one episode is a standalone. We just don't go into, I think we started out this way because with Ghost Cases, we did kind of do this. We would go in, oh, here's a place, blah, 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 ooh, we're haunted, and wrap it up and we're out of here. And the next time, we rarely reference previous episodes, even though it was building up with us. We treated each episode as kind of a whole unto itself. With Haunted, we're not. With Haunted, it is really, and a lot of it is because we did these in a relatively compressed period of time. Certainly the first 6 episodes were all 3 locations were all shot within about 6 days of each other. So, when we say we're at the Queens County Museum last night and tonight we're at the Astor, we really were at the Queens County. So we're coming off fresh. Those guys, everybody was up till 6 a.m. listening to the sound that, went after Holly. And then we had to get up at 1 p.m. and drive back into Liverpool. And hello, Astor Theatre. Back we are into the fray. So, and I think Shelburne, which is the Cooper's Inn, was a couple days later. We had a day off. But there's that idea that this is all kind of happening at once, and maybe it's coming with us. We're building stuff up. So it comes back to that idea of, maybe we're the haunted ones, not, it's a little cliche, but it is the series title, not necessarily the places. Or maybe we're in places that are more open to this kind of stuff.
Right.
I think it's both.
Yeah, I think I'm on that plane.
You're on that plane?
Which
Nice.
part of the astral plane are you on?
Well, the astral plane, where I don't know, it's...
Level 3. Ding.
I don't know if I was haunted before I did this.
Sorry.
That's where I think I'm at. I think the places that I don't know. I'm of the mind of I genuinely have no idea. I like our theories. I think some of our theories are probably us putting up a shield of being safer than we want to admit, but
I definitely think that's true. I'm not meaning to knock our good friend Holly here, but when Holly says, I think you can send it back when you want to, I just don't buy that. If it's a nice demon or whatever, maybe it says, oh yeah, no, sorry, I see that you're not feeling good today, or I've invaded your space, I've taken it a little too far. You know what? Backing off here, totally, call me. I think it would be more likely, give me a call if you want to talk. Let's text or whatever. I think it would be more likely, look, whatever's out there, I really don't feel good. This is you're invading my space, and they'd be like, yeah, that's what I do, lady. Come on, I'm a fill in the blank, but I'm not here for you. I'm here for me, like kind of thing. So
I think it's exactly that, Paul. But I know we differ on this.
Right. So you think you can get rid of them when you want to?
Yeah.
Well, good luck with that. So everything now sent to Holly because she's the one who believes in the power of being able to get rid of these things. I do not.
I think there's a power of protection that you need to have for yourself. It's definitely a spiritual kind of thing, and you need to be able to shut it off. Otherwise, you go nuts. So whether that is, having that power within yourself, or whether that's just a projection of your being, I have no idea. But I think there's something there. There has to be.
That can protect us.
You protect yourself.
So okay. I've
Otherwise, why do some people get overtaken by it?
Well, hey, I see. The thing is, I think maybe, perhaps, and we talked about this about 20 minutes ago. Maybe it's all timing, and some people that can get over that, maybe whatever it is, got what it wanted. Like, cool, all right, I got what I needed. See you later.
You mean like energy-wise?
No, just like we were talking the contract thing.
Oh.
If I sign a contract and I don't get what I am supposed to be getting, people get sued. So what's to say there isn't some sort of paranormal equivalent to that?
Next week on Demon Court.
Yeah, I'm just saying, what if
Gorgron versus Dillon.
Demon. I like my real name now. My name is Demon.
And Judge Wapner has passed away. So from the People's Court, he could now be presiding over the Demon's Court.
There we go. He
Wow.
I see a whole new television show coming here
Believe
Yeah.
that's
Haunted
what
court.
you did.
this week on the Demon's Court. Yeah. there you go.
I hear what you're saying, Dillon, regarding, I almost said demon, regarding,
great. They're both on it now. Cool.
regarding, you set up a contract or this is what you're offering and then they're expecting something in return. The problem is if you're doing this on like a verbally
Right.
and all you are doing is offering something, that's the contract. I don't understand how they would expect something else other than what you're verbally saying.
Yes, but what if they don't get what you're verbally telling them you're going to get? It's like, hey, I'm going to give you can come down and possess Paul. What if they can't possess Paul?
Oh,
Like,
well then,
what the hell? I'm here. I
Paul,
was
be more
promised
open.
Paul to be possessed.
If you look at any story or whatever in myth and legend, the
Yeah.
idea is if you screw with the demon or whatever, it boomerangs back on you. So if you say, "Oh, feel free to possess Paul," and for whatever reason it can't possess Paul, or Paul says, "No, I'm not open to that. No, thanks." Then it goes, "Well, I'm hungry. I guess I'll have something else on the menu." And then you find that something else. So it might boomerang on Holly, or if we assume that Holly has the protective shield of protecting,
Yeah,
nice,
like,
nice.
like
yeah.
an 8th level elven wizard or something.
Trademark.
So it goes back to Holly and says, "Well, now I'm going to eat your soul." And oh, there's a shield here. Well, that's okay. What else?
Oh, I think I know how this plays out. I go, well, that's weird.
Hello, hello,
Dillon, do you
Dillon.
feel this?
See, maybe then Holly, in a certain Yarmouth house was all like, well, oh, he's back. Here's my second offering.
That's not what happened.
You can have Dillon.
However, I see where you're going. Interesting theories, gentlemen. Interesting theories. However, I think that legally,
Demon court.
Demon Court.
no. Well, Paul's talking legality here. If we're looking at the legality of a contract, and I say feel free to possess Paul, that's not a contract, as in you will be able to succeed in this.
That's an offer. So as soon as
Okay, Paul, then I think I see the problem here. You need to be more open to possession.
no, one of the three people at the table here has a JD after his name, Juris Demon, apparently. And so you are offering, but the interesting thing is in law, you couldn't offer for somebody else. So you couldn't say, for instance, "Hey, Dillon, you can have Paul's car."
Nice.
That's not a contract because you don't actually own my car. Now, I can make that offer, but you can't. So let's assume that it's my soul.
Which I didn't offer.
You don't, well, what do you think they're coming for? You don't own that. You don't know anything about me. So you can't say, this is interesting. I like where this is going. For me, you can't go, "Yo, whatever's out there, come on down and temporarily possess Paul in a good way." And it would go, "Yeah, no, I see. I can't do that because you don't have the right to make that offer on behalf of Paul. And I'm bound by certain rules and regulations here in Demonville."
Cool. So you feel better now?
No, well, I do.
I feel like there's a second part to this coming.
Right. But because it's a demon and, it's not particularly reasonable, it goes, "By the way, I had important shit to do and you just called and you've wasted my time and I had to get my assistant in here, Gorgon. And, this has really put a crimp in my eternal life of torturing people. So while I'm here, now that I'm here, there's got to be a payment for calling me out of the office. And it's not going to be Paul. So it's going to be Holly." And then you're like, "But I'm all protected. And I'm just going to, as I said, I'm just going to believe that you can do that. It's fine. I'm not a believer in that, but I'll go with it." And then it says, "Well, here I am in Liverpool." And,
What?
and I am not going home until I find somebody that I can get a little bit of energy. And who knows, maybe what we call down goes, "Whew, boy, that was a lot of effort to get here. And I'm out of gas. I need a gas station. I need to fuel up." Dillon, he's young. He's got a lot of energy.
He does have a lot of energy.
He does.
I do want to say, though, that I'm remembering this now. I did give my soul to one of my friends in junior high school. So I think I'm safe regardless.
That's really different. We should come back
At least
to
on
that.
that front.
Are you Bart Simpson? Did you give your soul to Millhouse?
I did not have a mill house in my life, but if I did, no. Yeah, I'm fine. What is it going to take from me?
There's a
My sleep? Oh, he's already done that. Oh, no.
that's
Okay, yes, well, all right. Interesting theories.
so wow. So here we go. The three of us, because we're the primary people out in the front lines here. Paul wants nothing to do with being possessed. I can't do that legally. I'm a demon. I can't possess Paul.
By the power of Grayskull!
Holly's got some sort of leaf shield. I can't get through that.
Bam!
And Dillon, well, Dillon looks tasty. Oh, son of a... Frank already has his soul.
There we go. It was definitely
Frank the
a Frank.
demon.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Chelsea.
So, well, there's the thing, right? And I mean, I think we can all agree Jim's soulless. So the no, I'm just kidding. Jim has a lot of soul. You should see him dance, folks.
Jim
But
would be the one person that could probably punch a demon in the face.
that's true.
You know what? I actually would. I
Yeah.
would pay to see that.
After the demon had possessed him, Jim could somehow still punch within himself,
Yeah.
and the demon, like, ow! It's like hitting a shark on the nose.
Yeah,
Get
exactly.
out.
But Chelsea, now Chelsea's the youngest member. So theoretically, if you believe that you have more energy when you're young, she's got it. So Chelsea's got the energy. The demon has struck out on all four of us. Maybe, just maybe,
That's a little scary.
she is possessed. Wait for it.
No.
And she doesn't realize it. It's stealth possession. Because not everything could be like Linda Blair, where it's like, I'm a demon and I'm going to let you know I'm possessing this person, because that's a dumb strategy. Because then what do people do? They call exorcists and they boot you out. What if you're sucking out energy and stuff? You go, you know what? You're like, you're a scientist, Holly. What's the word?
Parasite?
Bingo. Yeah, one of those, like a tapeworm or something like that. It doesn't want you to know, or the feeder fish that follow along with sharks.
That's a theory, eh? Like, that's a known theory in the paranormal world that, like,
Right. Yes.
This
if
is
you
why
could if you could see it, it would basically be hanging off their shoulder.
Right.
Yeah, this is why I wanted to go to Peru after
Yeah.
ghost cases, to be like cleansed of whatever negative energies we'd picked up.
Right. There's an episode of Doctor Who in one of the new series where the same sort of thing. Nobody can see it except the doctor. This thing is hanging off people, taking its energy.
That's kind of a terrifying thought.
Oh, with all the things that you heard in your ear?
Yeah, and the feeling
whistling
of
and
over my shoulder.
Yeah, that's really creepy.
We should ask Chelsea if she ever gets tired. Or
Well, the other thing that's possible is, you're talking about Chelsea having all this energy and stuff. She's also talked about, I don't know if she's opened that door quite far enough yet, but the problem is she's super keen to do that in season 2. So if something is going to happen for her, sorry, Chelsea, it's going to be then.
Well, then again, as we've said every episode,
If it hasn't already.
they don't really go with what our plans are.
I didn't say I was planning for it.
No. But what we usually expect to happen very rarely doesn't happen. So she could get possessed before we even go to
We
camera.
should call her. Chelsea, are
at
you
Walker
okay?
Stalker Con.
Yeah.
As she's talking to Melissa McBride. Oh, I've got to take this one. Hello?
Chelsea.
You're probably possessed, Chelsea.
Yeah, run.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go see somebody about that as soon as I'm done with Melissa here. Yeah.
And then she'd be like, who was that, dear? That was just the crew from this paranormal investigation show that I'm on. They were worried I was possessed by a demon, but I told them it was all good.
Oh, nice, Chelsea. Cool. Security?
His name is either Gorgron or Frank.
Don't
we're
tell
not,
them.
We're not sure which one, but it's
Frank.
Yes.
Frank the demon. So yeah, it's weird. We could all be possessed and not even know it.
Well, that's the thing.
Oh,
And
we
I
really
think-
should divine. We should.
We could all be like batteries. Like
What?
I meant to say define. I was just saying that was an interesting Freudian slip.
Yeah, I was going to say.
We should all define possession.
well, like in the Matrix, where the humans are all batteries, and so you're living in the Matrix. You think you're Holly, you think you're Dillon, you think you're Paul, and what in reality you're a battery. But they create this sort of like you don't know what you really are. So what if, we've become, because we put ourselves out there, we're batteries. We've got these things hanging on to us or inside us or whatever, and they're not letting us know. We're in the paranormal matrix.
Do you feel like you're still feeding things? Because I certainly have gone into locations and felt like I have.
But you wouldn't know. You might, like Neo in the Matrix, you get glimpses of it, right? Which could be deja vu, synchronicity, or those feelings that we have in the show. But you don't really know it unless you take the red pill. Is it the red pill you take? The blue
haven't
pill.
seen that
I think the
one.
blue pill sends you back into the Matrix, and you'll never know.
sure.
You have to take the red pill. You have a choice. So maybe we've just all been living in the Matrix that we kind of put ourselves in, and now like we could all be possessed. And by possessed, I mean being used as batteries for some
Feeding some sort of entity.
Exactly. Could be taking our energy from us or whatever. Who knows? I don't know.
It's funny because I think a lot of people, when they hear the word possession, they're going to think of The Exorcist.
Sure.
Like my head
Yeah, I
spinning
never
around,
thought of
throwing
that.
up and crawling on the
Yeah,
walls.
gross.
I don't think.
It's not what I was thinking.
No, me neither. But I think some people that'll hear this will probably think that.
Well, would, if you believe in the whole demon thing or say the levels of hell or any of that sort of stuff, that's the lower level demons. I mean, they're the kind of
The
dumb-
ones who
grunt
possessed, like The
Right.
Exorcist?
Exactly. Redneck demons kind of thing.
Okay.
You know, sort of not the Harvard educated demons. So let's
What do those do?
wow,
Their
interestingly.
taxes.
Taxes.
But they never let us see them. So the sort of dumber demons, we'll call them, would just like we just want the evidence. Not the evidence. We just want the energy. Rawr. And they get tossed out. The smarter demons or beings or whatever you want to call them, again, would not let you know. They would just stealthily. So use a better example. There's two types. Well, there's more than two, but there's two general types of coups. I was watching a documentary on coups last night. There's the ones where people show up with a lot of weapons and stuff and they go, roar, and like, and there's a big fight and everything. Those ones usually don't work out. Sometimes they do, but rarely do those ones work out. You know what the ones that do work out? Hitler was elected. Mussolini was allowed into power. The Bolsheviks were allowed into power and then slowly from within took it over, although there was some violence in all three cases. But when you see successful Caesar, the original coup-meister, when he came back, was, he didn't declare himself king. In fact, he declined the kingship even as he turned the republic into basically a monarchy. So, and well, there is Trump, of course. So the idea that from within, the smart ones, the ones who succeed in the long term, keep the outer forms of, in some cases, democracy. In Mussolini's case in Italy, the monarchy, he didn't overthrow the king. He just became the king's head of government. So, but it was an effective coup and he took over control. And then the fascist regime fed on it for 20 years. Those are the smart coups. The dumb ones are the ones that are all violent and showy and everything. And those generally flame out pretty quickly. So maybe what we're dealing with are internal mechanisms theoretically could be overthrown, or at least something could be working within us, and we could be getting glimpses of it when you see something or you see something in your bedroom or whatever the shadow shapes, or when we see anything anywhere or we feel something. It's like little glimpses that something's working through us, it's following us, it's attached to us, and every now and then when we tune into it, it's like, oh yeah, no, it's there, like at Queens County Museum. Or the feeling like when we walk into a room and when we turn our attention to something, it's like, whoa, oppressive or something. Maybe we're feeling like something's working within us. So there could be a battle raging within us that we don't even know about.
Could also be like a fight for land, if you know what I mean. Like if we're the land, and when we feel oppressive, it's these two things fighting. Now, do you think that there is a good side to this where, Holly, something yelling at you at Queens County was a warning? Or do you think it's all bad? Because I think where you're coming from is that it isn't, and I agree with you on this. I don't think it's, as you've said many times, I don't think it's your dead grandmother coming to say hello.
Right.
I think it could be.
Unless she's a demon.
Yeah, exactly.
If those two things are both true, and it could be happy. There is a happier narrative that I could have spun of the trickster, and we're the cats, and we've talked about this, and it's just playing with us.
Really happy,
but it's playful. We're dealing with something that's far more advanced than us, and it's kind of interacting with us and trying to stimulate our minds and stuff, and that can be a good thing. So I can see both sides of it. I guess tonight I'm just going down the rabbit hole of the dark side. But the more I think about it, the more likely it is. To me, to see that there's a darkness associated with it, because most of the experiences that we had, I don't recall any happy ones. I really don't. Somebody can correct me on this, but I don't recall anybody walking in and went, even after the fact, and going, that I feel so joyful. I feel like the burden has been lifted, and I've seen the heavenly gates, and I just feel that everything in life is wonderful now. Thank you for that experience. I don't recall any of us ever having that moment. I didn't have it that metaphorically fluffy,
but I do remember in Cooper's, not to spoil it, that I was very uneasy the entire time until we had what happened upstairs happen to me.
Right.
And then I felt like I lost 50 pounds. Like I had this big weight lifted off me and I felt comfortable. I won't say I felt happy, but comfortable. And you know, both you in this room, I hated that place.
Right.
Because I have never felt like that in my life. I did not want to be anywhere near that place.
Yes, and you did. I do remember you felt a little.
Do we have a piano here? And I don't know why I said piano. Do we have a piano?
Do we have a piano here?
Sorry, I got a little freaked out.
I've been hearing noises for the past 10 minutes.
We don't have a piano.
There's no piano.
No.
I heard a definitive note from a piano.
I
A
swear to
single
God.
tone.
And I'm not saying this to build it up. I've been hearing what sounds like very small voices in the background while we've been doing this for it's only started the past 10 minutes. I haven't said anything because it could be nothing, but
No, I heard it like it was a simple, like it sounded like from the other room or maybe upstairs a ding.
So this is our office is located in a house, and there is no space between us and the house next door. It's one of those, like there's no yard. They're connected. The person next door does not. I've been in his house. He's actually the landlord for this place. He does not have a piano. So, and sound from his place, I've never heard it bleed over into here. And I know he has a, he'll play music or something, and it doesn't bleed through the walls. I know who's upstairs. That's my wife. We don't have a piano upstairs, and I know where she is. She's in the living room right now. Her bedroom is right above where we are, and so there's nothing that would have come from there that would have made that sound. So I can rule those two things out. I didn't hear it. I didn't hear what you're...
Well, you guys both have headsets on. I don't.
And I was talking a lot, so when you seem to have heard it. So when you're talking, what you usually hear is your own voice, which is what happened at one point in the Astor. So no, the interesting thing is this place is the Winterlight World Headquarters is, I'm not saying it's haunted, but wow, there's some weird stuff that goes on in here.
I've had experiences here.
Where both Dillon and I, when we've been here together, we've heard, you've seen something.
Well, I saw, we were sitting down, we were watching an episode of Haunted in the early editing stages of this, and behind you, I swear to God, was just this shadow passes by. And I thought it was something outside, but I saw cars go by and it did not make that shadow. It was weird.
Funny thing. And so I work here late at night because I live upstairs. So it's very convenient. I can just come down here and, work in my pajamas if I wanted to. It's wonderful. But editing away. So last night I put in, when did I go to bed? I think it was 8 o'clock in the morning. And you're on a late night. I'm looking at Dillon. He's editing a film. He's on a late night schedule too.
I saw the sunrise this morning.
So did I. But
And the sunset,
So
I should
pretty.
specify.
when I first started working here, I like working in the dark. If you're an editor, you turn the lights off. Like right now we're in a room and there's a little light because the Winnie the Pooh lamp is on. But the big light in the room is, I just don't like working in fully lit rooms. And there's a television here too. So in the living room, in the office, before we moved down here, I would watch TV late at night upstairs, but sometimes that would disturb my wife because I like watching television loud. Anyway, all of this is a way of saying I'm usually down here either working in my office or I'm in the living room watching television, one of those two things. When I started here, when we first took the office almost a year ago, I would keep most of the lights off. It's how I like watching television. It's how I like working. Now I keep most of the lights on because I have seen shadows here, including, I was going to say standing in the hallway, but almost like if you're out on the couch, see a shadow that just seems to be standing in the hallway and then it moves off like Dillon described. I've heard things. This place, this is a sound. And the weird thing is, I have never heard sounds upstairs. Like creaking, knocking, any of those sounds. Never heard them upstairs. Do I hear them down here? All the time. And doors that will go move, like stuff like that. I'm not going to go, that kind of door sound. But things like that. And then it's funny, we should do this place in season 2 because I swear to God, stuff gets moved down here too. And there are multiple employees that work here, but there's stuff that gets moved in places where those employees wouldn't even know it's there. So I don't know. If you guys are hearing sounds tonight, I'm just telling you, I'm not saying this place is haunted, but this place might be haunted. And it might have something to do with the Ouija board that I have in my closet.
Keep
in my
talking
office.
for a second, Paul. I have to look out the window.
Actually, I was
Holly's
just going to
making
say
move.
if anybody's in the hallway.
What?
No, the entire time, and Paul, you probably saw me take it off. I took my headphones off while you were talking there because I legitimately, sounded like
go look in the hallway.
it sounded like somebody had put their foot down on a rugged hardwood floor, which is what we have here.
Mm-hmm.
This was not planned, folks. Well, that was weird.
On
You
another
very
note,
appropriately titled this show. I just want to tell you that. I don't know. It's weird because I go to these places and I feel fine, and then just things happen. Like, I've never felt weird here until we shot season 1 of Haunted, and then I'm walking and I was like, huh, I don't like being in the office alone.
So I was editing last night on, it was about 6 in the morning, and it was I was starting to work on the Cooper's Inn episode, and this happens. I got bored. Like, I've been looking at footage for about 4 hours.
Yeah.
And I went, yeah, I know, I need to take a break. Normally I'll go out and watch some YouTube or some television, but I said, nah, I'm lazy. I'm interested. I'm going to call up some footage from another episode because I'm just curious. And it's the episode Seaside, where the lights and the power and everything went out on Jim, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we had moved stations upstairs. Right. Yeah.
So I just wanted to look at that because I wasn't there. I was upstairs. I've never seen that clip at all, and I hadn't gotten around. And I thought, oh, okay, this will be like a little bonus. I'm going to look at this because I'm already starting to plan ahead in certain episodes. So I clicked it up, found the clip, which you've labeled, can't remember what you labeled it as, power goes out or whatever. And as soon as it came up on my computer, my entire computer shut down. Like literally. Didn't just crash. Total loss of power, everything gone. Now the room power stayed on. Computer, by the way, working fine today, was working fine yesterday. And boom, couldn't get it back on. I unplugged it, plugged it again, had to do that twice, then finally came back on, booted up, no problemo. And so I was going to send you a note saying, hey, Dillon, I know you're up. Guess what just happened? But I also knew you were working on another Winterlight production. I didn't want to sort of screw you. So it's like, okay, no, not going to send that. Just going to pocket that one. And I said, done. So all the lights in this place came on. Jim actually said you left all the lights on last night when I came in today. And I said, yeah, sorry about that. I forgot to turn those off. I didn't, like when you turn the lights off, you have that moment where it's total dark and you're standing there and then you have to close the door. I felt like there was something in here with me, and I didn't want to have the 3 seconds it would take. I wanted the lights on as I was closing the door, and I locked the door, both locks. So again, nothing, if there was something in here, nothing could get out of this office and follow me upstairs to, so I locked it in essence. That's what I was trying to do. But total computer crash, and it came just as I was calling up the clip of the power going out at Seaside.
And it's not like you're dealing with, massive 4K files because we didn't shoot this show in 4K. Your computer is very well equipped to handle 1080.
No, and it's fine and worked fine today. And so there's absolutely nothing that, who knows? It could have been the computer. I just find it coincidental, but it's part of this space.
Yeah.
Or is it, instead of being part of the space, part of the fact that we all work in this space?
Well, there you go, because I didn't feel like this before the season.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I'm Paul Kimball.
I'm Dillon Garland.
I'm Holly Stevens.
And we've been
Beyond Haunted.